Hi there, I'm Cyrus Jabbari, and I'm going to be giving you my critique on albums. Why? Because I can. I'm a random person on the internet, after all. But today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on what is Pink Floyd's supposedly last album, The Endless River. Now, I know this album's about 7 to 8 months old now, but hey, you don't see people complaining about those who critique on old things or nostalgic stuff now, do ya? Yeah, that's what I thought. So anyway, now we've come to this point where we have finally gotten a new Pink Floyd album in more than 20 years. Count it, 20 years. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that no one expected the band to come back after two long decades of disbandment. Not sure if that's a real word, but I claim copyright of it. And not to mention, band members Roger Waters and David Gilmour have had some bad blood for the longest time now. An unnecessarily long amount of time. Apparently, people can have a feud for 30 years. Go figure. So you can probably imagine the reaction from a Floyd fan like myself when I found out from a tweet that a new album from Pink Floyd is coming out. So with a new album finally out after such a long time, I think we as fans can finally expect more of the great awesomeness that made Pink Floyd so awesome. Well, let's just start off with the positives. Yeah, The Endless River is a pretty good effort by Pink Floyd. It contains a lot of the usual tropes from the band, including theatrical, space-esque vibes, a consecutive theme throughout the album's runtime, and even an ending that cycles into the beginning. I always gotta have one of those when making a concept album. The catch this time around is that this album is almost entirely instrumental, lending itself to some crazy cool instrumentals, of course ambient music, and also sort of following the themes of their previous album, The Division Bell, which focused on the loss of communication. It's pretty much your typical Pink Floyd sound, which transitions beautifully from track to track with some soothing vibes going out through it. So overall, it's a pretty good album. But that's the thing though, it's only a pretty good album. One of the things that kind of make this album disappointing is that it doesn't really reach that level of greatness that Pink Floyd has been known for. And while it contains a lot of the genuine Floyd-isms, it's not quite done in a level where it has an emotional, philosophical, mind-blowing impact along the likes of The Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, The Metal, Animals, The Wall. And one of the things that kind of makes this album disappointing is that it's only a good album, meaning that it doesn't really reach Pink Floyd's levels of greatness, which is really high. Granted, it's almost as good as the likes of The Division Bell and The Final Cut, but it doesn't really reach the likes of the band's most acclaimed works. It's almost like David Gilmour said to himself one day, I think I might go on and flog that dead horse to appease them wonky fans. Hey, Mason, yeah? You ever been doing much besides interviews about our glory days and them races, right? Well, yeah. Well, how about we go back to them glory days and take the scraps from that crappy instrumental album we're gonna do and just recycle the rest from what we already did in The Division Bell? You mean we're not gonna give the fans what they want by bringing back old Roger and get him to start writing the album and maybe even just get a new concept for us? And instead you want to kiss on the feet of Rick's legacy, even though we already paid tribute to him several times during the time of his actual death? Exactly. Oh, I'm in! But joking aside, another disappointing aspect about this album is no Roger Waters. And when you really think about it, a lot of Pink Floyd's most acclaimed work is from when Roger Waters was still in the band. He wrote most of the lyrics, took part in a lot of the songwriting, and came up with their concepts for their concept albums. A lot of that really added to the band's musical chemistry and their power to really add in some deep emotional impact. When Waters brought the philosophical themes of war, isolation, insanity, madness to the musical table, it gave the band's already wonderful music some more creative depth, and something that anyone can relate to. And it greatly complemented the music that he, Gilmour, Wright, Mason, Syd Barrett, a little bit of Syd Barrett, created. Now, when you leave someone who brought so much creative juice to the band, like Waters, you still end up with some pretty good music like The Division Bell in this album, but it doesn't really reach the masterful artistic merits of The Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, The Wall, etc. It's just one of those cases where you really need the sum of the parts to make something that's truly earth-shattering. It's like with the case of The Final Cut, where Richard Wright, may he rest in peace, left the band, and the album was really lacking a lot of those creative, amazing synths that he created to give the band a lot of that unique sound. So the Final Cut sort of suffered from some melodramatic orchestras. I mean, orchestral melodrama. It's also the case with how like the Beatles like went their own separate ways with their own solo careers. Like their solo careers, like while like some of it was great, it didn't quite like add up to the legacy that they brought up when they were together as the Beatles. So The Endless River is unfortunately another one of those examples that's just lacking the sum of the parts. Now again, there are still a lot of sparks of the legacy that the band left behind, but it doesn't really do a whole lot to really bring anything new to the table or make it really like a classic rock album, with I guess the exception of the fact that it's almost entirely instrumental. But even then, that's already been done with Brian Eno's like innovative ambience. Now I understand that this album is also paying tribute to Richard Wright, God rest his soul. But I agree that he was a pivotal ingredient to the Floyd sound, and releasing the ambient counterpart to the Division Bell is a cool idea. Well, any new music by Pink Floyd is fine by me. Consumer whore! Yeah, but finally giving that ambient album a release in respect to him probably would have been better off like as like bonus content for that Division Bell box set or whatever that waste of money was. And also, while Gilmour, Phil Manzanera and company intended to make this album the swan song of Pink Floyd, it feels a little bit more anticlimactic than it does satisfying. Like maybe that's supposed to be the whole idea behind it. Maybe this is Gilmour's way of saying that Pink Floyd was filled with rocky relationships and like ideas that didn't quite really click. Or maybe this album is the culmination of like anticipated pieces of work that can lead to ultimate disappointment. And this album was also meant to showcase and summarize that maybe that's what Pink Floyd was just all about. Or it could just be a huge, gigantic disappointment. I don't know, whatever. Again, joking aside, The Endless River is still a well-crafted, enjoyable listen throughout. I mean, sure, it doesn't quite live up to what made the band go down in history, but it still contains a lot of what made the band great, even if it's not all the things that actually matter the most. And so, if you're a casual music listener, I say it's definitely a worthwhile purchase, especially if you're looking for some high-quality, soothing music. So, I'll give this album 3.7 stars out of 5. A pretty good listen overall. Now, a final note that I want to bring up here. I know it seems very unlikely that Pink Floyd will get back together after the statements that they've made in interviews that The Endless River is the final album. But humans have been known to not stay true to their word. And with Waters and Mason doing a Q&A session for the screenings of the concert film Roger Waters' The Wall, maybe, just maybe, Waters and Mason might be in some negotiations to make some more music. Not saying it's strictly gonna be Pink Floyd, I'm just saying. I mean, sure, Waters is busy battling the political issues going on in Israel, but hey, having us Americans be entertained by some good rocky music is much more important here. Wow, I just came across as a huge dick there, didn't I? Wow. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my review of Pink Floyd's The Endless River, and I'll see you guys later with some other reviews. Why? Because I'm a random guy on the internet. What are you gonna do about it? Toodles! So you could probably imagine the reaction from a Floyd fan.